The history of marijuana in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. 5,000 years ago, the Chinese Emperor Shennong used marijuana. He wrote about its medicinal values. It helped gout, malaria, and rheumatism. Ironically, it was also a cure for absent-mindedness. Over the millennia, use of weed spread to the Indians, dots not feathers, who used it recreationally. Europeans were smoking the herb by 500 AD. The Muslims also like to get stoned. The Quran bans the use of alcohol, so they created hashish, its use spreading through Persia and North Africa in the 12th century. Thanks to the Spanish, marijuana crossed the Atlantic in 1545. Olé! The English brought weed to Jamestown in 1611, where it became alongside tobacco a commercial crop. Its fibers used for rope, cloth, and paper. George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were both marijuana farmers. Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence on paper made from the plant. The first American flag was woven from marijuana fibers. God bless America. Between 1850 and 1942, marijuana was listed in the United States Pharmacopoeia. And just as Emperor Shennong had realized almost 5,000 years earlier, it could be used to help with rheumatism, along with relieving nausea and labor pains. During this time, cotton overtook marijuana as the major cash crop in the southern United States. In 1910, the Mexican Revolution brought many immigrants to the United States. They brought with them recreational marijuana use. Anti-immigrant sentiment sparked the first legal attacks against marijuana, and in 1913, California became the first state to make pot illegal. In the Roaring '20s, cannabis really hit its recreational stride. Jazz musicians and showbiz types were the main users, spreading its use through clubs called tea pads sprouting up in cities around the country. These clubs were not initially considered a threat, as patrons caused no problems in the community and the drug wasn't illegal. This soon changed as racism again raised its ugly head. The white establishment believed that marijuana was causing white girls to sleep with black men and breaking down the social order. By the 1930s, the U.S. Federal Bureau of Narcotics claimed marijuana was addictive and that it was a gateway to stronger narcotics. In 1936, the infamous and now cult movie Reefer Madness was released, financed by a church group. Who else? The movie claimed smoking marijuana would lead to manslaughter, suicide, rape, and insanity. By the 1950s, marijuana became part of American high culture, with Beat Generation writers and tokers like William S. Burroughs, Jack Kerouac, and Allen Ginsberg forming the vanguard. The 1960s saw marijuana break on through to the new countercultural mainstream, smoked by hippies, dropouts, war protesters, students, and the Beatles. It became an enduring symbol of rebellion against conformity and authority. Insanity took hold of the U.S. Congress in 1970 when they passed the Controlled Substance Act, the law that classified heroin, LSD, and marijuana as Schedule I drugs. In 1975, the Mexican government destroyed the entirety of its country's marijuana crop. Colombia became the main weed supplier to the U.S., and the drug cartels were born. During the Reagan-Bush years, the war on drugs created a zero-tolerance policy for marijuana use. Mandatory sentencing for possession explodes the prison population. Millions of young men, mostly black and Hispanic, are incarcerated for nonviolent drug-related crimes. The prison industrial complex rises. Today, the United States has 25% of the world's prison population and incarcerates more of its citizens than any country in the world. In 1993, Bill Clinton becomes president of the United States. He admits to having used marijuana. During the 90s, marijuana use comes back into fashion. In 1996, California becomes the first state to legalize medical marijuana. Alaska, Oregon, and Washington follow suit in 98. Maine does the same in 99, as do Nevada, Colorado, and Hawaii in 2000. In 2001, George W. Bush is given the presidency of the United States. He also admits to using marijuana. During W's presidency, Montana, New Mexico, Michigan, Vermont, and Rhode Island legalized medical marijuana. Marijuana goes mainstream. World-class athletes, business people, politicians, and entertainers all come out of the marijuana closet. The stigma fading. In 2009, Barack Obama becomes president. That guy admitted to smoking a lot of weed. Arizona, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, and D.C. all make medical marijuana legal during the Obama presidency. In 2012, Washington and Colorado become the first states to legalize recreational marijuana use. In 2014, Florida goes to the polls on November 4th. What happens next is up to us.